Good evening, everyone. My name is Rainer. Welcome to Rainierbooks. Welcome to my book channel. It is Thursday. It's Thursday evening, and outside the weather is... It was a warm day, warmer than many others in the last week. We came back to like 25, 26 degrees Celsius today, and I did a grand walk. I walked from here to a place called Gröndal, which is about, I think, 5 kilometers down the line and towards town, towards Stockholm city. And then I walked back along the shores of Lake Mälaren, a walk that I like very much, but it's a longer walk than I usually do. So when I arrived here a couple of hours ago, I was pretty tired, and the last 2 kilometers were hard to walk. I walked 10.06 kilometers, which is, I think, about 6 miles. A little more than 6 miles probably. And I'm here to talk about a review today. I'm here to add another review to my segment. I've read something, and today it is about Kamila Shamsie's novel Home Fire, published in 2017, that I finished 2 nights ago, because I always finish books at night. I always read late into the evening and late into the night. And I'm going to talk about novel, but before I'm ready to talk about the novel, I have to go to the kitchen and get myself a cup of coffee. So let's get ready, because very soon we get started. So I have my coffee here. I have my books here that I need to talk about Kamila Shamsie's novel Home Fire. And where am I about to start? This was a thrilling, this was an amazing, this was a beautiful novel, and it won the Women's Prize for Fiction, the formerly called the Orange Prize, in 2017. I'm listening to get the news of the day. I love to listen to BBC NewsHour, which is a podcast that the BBC is doing twice a day. It's a 1-hour program that you can download on your device, that you can have for free with a little advertising. And I listen to it on Spotify, which is a Swedish player. I have to open the computer now because there are some names that I have to get right, and I just tried to turn away the reflection from my glasses. Today, I listened, when I had my walk, I was listening to the BBC NewsHour, to the first program of today. They will make a second program that will be released in just about now, or an hour or 2 hours from now. So and then they had one news report at the end of the program, on the first program today, which gave me vibes of my novel, the novel that I had just finished, of Kamila Shamsie's Home Fire, because in a London court has today decided, and now I have to look on the computer, that a young woman, Shamima Begum, is now allowed to fight for her British citizenship in front of a British court. That's what a court in London decided today. The British government has decided to appeal against this court order. So what's the background? When she was 15 years old, Shamima Begum, a young British girl, going to secondary school, 15 years old, went together with a couple of 2 or 3 classmates from Bethnal Green in London to Istanbul, and they joined Iraq. They joined Raqqa and the Islamic State in Raqqa in Syria, which was by then the capital of the so-called Islamic State. The British government has always fought very hard against those people, and we have the issue of what to do with those people now that many of them want to come back to their home countries where they grew up. We had many Germans going to Syria or Iraq. We had many people from France, many people from Sweden, and I think even more people from the United Kingdom went to Syria and Iraq to fight for the Islamic State or to live in the caliphate of the Islamic State. And this 15-year-old girl, Shamima Begum, she went with her 2 or 3 friends to, without the knowledge of her parents. The parents were shocked, they were devastated when they learned the news that the daughter had just run away to go to Syria, and that they might never see her again. So then the Islamic State lost most all of its territory, and 4 years later, in 2019, Shamima Begum she was 19 years old by then, and she was placed in a refugee camp in northern Syria, and she had 3 babies. All the babies died on her fleeing from Raqqa. She wanted to go back to her family. She says that everything has been a huge huge mistake that she has made when she was very, very young. But the British government still says that no, we don't want this woman to come back, the young woman come back to Great Britain, because she's a terrorist. And since she has the opportunity to get the citizenship of Bangladesh, because her parents are Bangladeshis, and she theoretically can have the possibility of getting a Bangladeshi passport, the British government says, we're going to strip you of your British citizenship, we're going to send you back to, and you can go to Bangladesh, where Shamima Begum has never ever been in her entire life. Now she sits in that refugee camp under horrible circumstance. So that is the situation of Shamima Begum, which actually has to do with the novel I want to talk about. A novel written by Kamila Shamsie. Kamila Shamsie is a British author who also has the Pakistani passport, who was born, I think, in the early 1970s. This is her novel Home Fire. It is her last novel that she published in 2017. It was published in London by Bloomsbury Circus. And Home Fire is a variation on the classical play Antigone by Sophocles. Now, I have to admit that I never read Antigone by Sophocles. I've never seen the play on stage. I've never read the play. I didn't actually know what it was dealing with. I looked it up and I read a summary of Antigone, and there are lots of similarities to that play in this novel, Home Fire. But I'm not going to make spoilers, because if I tell you what those similarities are and why they are there, I will spoil you so that you won't read this novel. But you have to read it, because if I would give stars and if I would give stars and you know that I don't give stars in my channel, I would give the maximum 5, 10, 15, 20, whatever I would decide to give. This was a tremendous read. It took me 3 days to get through the whole novel, because I wanted to know more about the characters and about how the story ended for them. So what's the personnel? What's the staff? What people are we getting to know in this novel? We get to know Isma. Isma is British woman of Pakistani descent, and we meet her in Amherst, Massachusetts. I think that's where the novel starts. Yes, she's on her way to Amherst, Massachusetts, from England to study there, because her father died. Her father is a terrorist who was on his way to Guantanamo, but died on the way to Guantanamo, and her mother died years ago. So Isma took all the responsibilities for her much younger twin siblings, Anika and Parvais. Anika is a 19-year-old girl, Parvais a 19-year-old boy. And so she goes to Amherst, Massachusetts to finally start her life, to finally study. And in Amherst, Massachusetts, in the United States, Isma meets a young man by the name of Eamon. That's an Irish name, but Eamon is also half of Pakistani descent. He also comes from Britain. His father is a British Pakistani politician who is rising in the ranks of the Tories, of the Conservative Party, and his mother is a very successful Irish entrepreneur. So Eamon comes from a very privileged family. He's doing nothing in Amherst, Massachusetts. He's just traveling around, hanging around, and he meets Isma in a cafe, and the two get acquainted with each other. There's no love affair between them, but it's very important that they meet, because when Eamon goes back to the United Kingdom after a few weeks, he's supposed to take a package of candies to London to her aunt, who's living in Preston Road in West London, close to the Wembley area, where the Wembley Arena is situated. So, and then he meets Anika. Eamon meets Anika, this younger sister, and he is getting involved with Annika, who's a very beautiful young woman, and the whole story has a lot of twists and turns, and in the end it's a very dramatic and it's a very beautiful story. Each character is really strong, is depicted with lots of care and lots of credibility, and Iman's father, the British politician Karamat Lone is rising in the ranks of the Tories. He's becoming the Home Secretary of the United Kingdom, and he is very rigid against radical Muslims in the United Kingdom, and he is also secular. He has no belief. He doesn't believe in any god, so he's an atheist. And this is actually not a thriller. It's a novel about a family and about what are you going to do for your loved ones inside your family. It's this father-son relationship between Karamat Lone, the British politician, and his son Iman, who is not becoming what his father wants him to be. His father wanted him to be somebody who makes a great career in some field, but Iman isn't going to do that. And his sister, Iman's younger sister, is at one point in the novel called the son that Karamat Lone always wanted to have. So this is the very interesting relationship and love between father and son. It's the love between the twins, Parvez, because Parvez is getting really in deep trouble in this novel. His sisters believe that he is visiting relatives in Karachi, Pakistan, but his plane is going somewhere else, and he is ending up in the similar trouble that this young woman, Shamima Begum, has gotten in, that I talked about in the beginning. So she's who's sitting in northern Syria. And friend of Kamila Shamsie wrote an article in The Guardian. I'm going to link it down below. I think in 2018, because in 2018 a British politician of Pakistani descent by the name of Shahid Jar became the Home Secretary of the United Kingdom. And in this book, it's 2 years before a British guy of Pakistani descent becomes the Home Secretary of Great Britain. And Kamila Shamsie has written this article in The Guardian where she says to the readers that a friend of hers tweeted to her, your new name is Nostra Shamsie, because you predicted all that. You predicted that a guy like this would be Home Secretary, and that he would be sort of rigid against people. It's an extremely moving novel. It's also a novel about the question, of course, can we strip people of their of their nationality because they because they started to follow radical people at one point when they were very, very young. Is that ethical to strip them? Don't we create second-class citizens by doing so? Is that possible? What do we do with British citizens, for example, of let's say Dutch or German or Belgian descent? If they commit crimes, are they going to be stripped of their nationality, or is this done primarily against brown people? This is really a question that is eminent when you read this novel and when you read the news, what happened today. This is a novel that everyone should read. And Peter Carey has blurbed this novel. He says, "Let me awestruck, shaken, on the edge of my chair, filled with admiration for her courage and ambition." This is a courageous novel. It's an ambitious novel, and this is literature as I love it. And Kamila Shamsie is an amazing author. She has written, this is her 8th book, and I definitely gonna throw myself in for another Kamila Shamsie novel very soon. I'm going to talk more about Kamila Shamsie in another video. This was quite long. If you like this, subscribe to my channel. Drop me a comment in the section below. I will answer it anyway, whatever you write, and wait for my next video, which is coming very, very soon, hopefully. I have actually finished, no, don't say actually that often. I have finished another book, a thriller by Lewis Candlish called Our House. And I'm not going to make a review about this. I decided that yesterday because honestly I did not like the book. I was about to DNF it, I didn't do it in the end because I wanted to know how it ended. But maybe it's not good to read 2 or 3 books at the same time. That's one question that came up yesterday when I finished Lewis Candlish's Our House, because at the same time reading a masterpiece like Home Fire doesn't do any justice to a book that maybe is not a masterpiece. Maybe. But I couldn't get engaged with any of the characters in Our House, and I couldn't actually like the way the story was told, so I decided to not make a review about it because I would only criticize it very harshly, very harshly. I know that it won a lot of awards. I know that many people loved it all over the world, and if you are one of them, you're absolutely welcome to do so. We all have different opinions. The next book I'm going to read, I haven't started yet, but I have decided on my next read, is Graham Swift's novel, Here We Are. If you have seen my mid-year freak out book tag video, you know that this was the book that I loved most by its cover of this year, because it has this beautiful paradise parrot kind of bird on it. And this is Here We Are by Graham Swift, and this is about a man. It's about I think a triangle story happening in a city that I really love in the United Kingdom, Brighton, by the end of the 1950s. And I should be able to read this quite quickly because it's only about 200 pages, and it's not much on each page here. But Graham Swift is an author to reckon with in about what is it today? Today's the 16th of July. In 12 days from now, the long list of the Booker Prize for 2020 is going to be published. And Eric Anderson has done a video where he has talked about 50, 60 books that might get nominated. I might shorten that list down a little bit and add something of my own and give my perspective on the long list before it is published. And when it's published, of course, we all will jump on those books and try to read it, because that's one good thing to choose books to read, that you take the big awards. And I'm very grateful to no, I don't say that now. I will edit that out of my video, what I have said now. So thank you very much for watching this about Home Fire preview, not a preview of Here We Are by Graham Swift, but this is the next book I'm going to read, and this is the next book I'm going to review, however it is. If it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10-star book, I don't know. I'm going to read it, but I thank you for watching this, and I wish you a beautiful evening or afternoon, wherever you are, maybe even morning in Australia or Japan or New Zealand. Be safe, and see you. Bye-bye.